So how many of you have been in the gym and you've been stuck or hit a training plateau and someone says to you, you need to switch up your program because you've got to confuse your muscles? Muscle confusion. This is a term that's been around forever. I've heard this term since I was 14 years old when I first started working in a gym. And essentially, it's something that we all grew up to believe because everybody was saying it. That's just what happens when something is repeated so often. You hear it all the time. Nobody's really saying that it's not true, so you just kind of grow up thinking that it is true. But you will not find muscle confusion in any sort of professional fitness book because it doesn't really exist in the sense of what we portray it to be. And what I mean by that is, as a lot of people think they have to do muscle confusion or switch up their workout because they're not seeing growth anymore if they hit a muscle building plateau. And a lot of times when you guys hit a muscle building plateau, it's because yes, you're probably doing the same program with the same exercises, the same amount of sets, same amount of reps, and the same amount of weight. So clearly after a while, your body is going to adapt to that program and you're not going to see any more growth. But is it because now you need to confuse your muscles and switch up the entire workout program, or do you just need to tweak very small variables in that program to start seeing growth again? Maybe you need to lift more weights. Maybe you need to increase some of your sets on some of your exercises, progressive overload. Or maybe you stopped growing, the program is okay, but you're not eating enough food, and because you're not eating enough food, you've stopped growing. If you build muscle, and you're eating the same amount of calories, you're going to hit a point to where you need to increase those calories to support the lean muscle mass that you're gaining. It just makes sense. But too often, I see online training programs being sold or having a client for 4 to 6 weeks. Another way to keep them around is to say, hey, we're going to put together a program for you, but in 4 to 6 weeks, we got to change that program. So you're going to have to buy training again, or else you're not going to have muscle confusion, and you're going to be at a standstill, and you're not going to see any more gains. And I want you guys to think about this for a second, okay? And really think about what we're trying to say muscle confusion is. So if I'm doing a standing bent over row, which is going to target my back, right? Standing underhand grip bent over row. And then I move from that exercise to a single arm bent over row. And then I go over to, the seated cable machine and I use a straight bar and I start doing low rows over there, which is essentially a bent over row if you have the same hand position. Do you really think that going from one exercise to the other is confusing your body so much to the point to where it's like, oh my God, I have no idea what's happening right now. I need to grow muscle to adapt to this exercise. Oh, T-bar rows? These are easy. We do these every week. Oh my God! What is this? Oh, I'm so confused! Oh God! I mean, it might seem silly, but this is the lie that a lot of trainers are selling to you guys in order to keep you around as a client. Guys, it's the same movement pattern. Now, there are different variations of exercises, and one of the traps that you don't want to fall into with a training program is having some lagging body parts simply for the fact that you're just not targeting specific parts of the muscle. So for example, let's say you're training chest. I just did a video on how to target more of your upper chest, right? The entire pectoralis major is being activated whether you're flat benching, decline benching, or incline benching. But if you have a lagging upper chest and you want to try to isolate that area a bit more, we can place a bit more emphasis on it with an incline bench press versus doing a flat bench press. But again, the entire pectoralis major is still being targeted. Just like if we're training biceps. If you want to work a bit more on the peak of your biceps, there's different exercises that you can do that target target the outer head a bit more. If you're training legs, let's say you're doing a reverse lunge, but you want to target more glutes and hamstrings in the movement, as you're doing the reverse lunge, you just lean forward a little bit. Or if you are doing the bent over row and you want to target more upper back, mid traps, upper traps, or deltoids, instead of doing an underhand grip, you do an overhand grip. But at the same time, these are different variations of exercises. It's not a different exercise using the same exact movement pattern to confuse the muscles. It's just ridiculous, right? It's like, this is why Insta-Garbage exists on my channel. And we're going to be actually doing Insta-Garbage and bringing it back now that gyms are opening. So if you do have some videos that you think are worthy of being in the next Insta-Garbage, make sure you shoot me a DM on my Instagram, Scott Herman Fitness. But that's where all this comes from, because we think we have to have muscle confusion, so we go to the gym and we just start making up all these bullshit exercises, which makes absolutely no sense because the staple compound movements exist, and they exist for a reason. Pull-ups, bend over rows, bench press, squat, deadlift. These exercises drive results. And if you're not seeing growth anymore, it can be for only a few different reasons. Number one, like I said, you're not progressively overloading. You're not increasing your weights. Maybe instead of trying to hit 10 repetitions in every single set, try increasing the weight and decreasing your reps as you go through your sets to try to go a bit heavier. First set's maybe 10, then maybe you do 8 for a couple sets, and maybe on your last set you hit 6 repetitions. It all comes down to the programming, but there's ways to get around that. Or if you want to place a bit more emphasis on different body parts, you can try to change the variation of the exercise, but understand it's still the same exercise, and if you're still not growing, then maybe it's time you go back and you start actually tracking your calories, because I know the majority of us, we don't track our calories, we just assume we're eating enough food. Track your calories, and then try increasing those calories by like 200 grams or 300 grams spread across your protein, carbs, and fat, and then see what happens to your body in a week or two. And then if you're doing all of that and still nothing happens, well then let's think about this. When is the last time you either did a deload or a detraining week? Take a complete week off from training. Let your body become sensitive once again to muscle damage and mTOR. Take it off a week, and we talk about this in the nuclei overload training videos. Your body is always adapting to workouts that you're doing. Your body is always trying to find ways to get stronger and perform the same movements it's doing every single day in a much more efficient fashion so that it doesn't get sore and it doesn't waste as much energy. So if you take some time off and then come back, your body's going to get sore again because you're now resensitized to muscle damage and mTOR. So muscle confusion, like the sense of the word, the sense of that statement where, hey, maybe we want to place emphasis on different parts of the muscles we're training to try to grow lagging areas, I guess makes sense. But if someone ever says to you, hey, you've been doing the same program for 4 to 6 weeks, it's time for a complete do-over and a completely new program, and if you don't do that, you're not going to see growth, well, that, my friends, is just absolute pure garbage, all right? If you guys enjoy my videos, be sure to let me know by commenting down below. Tap that like button. Likes are what rule YouTube. If the videos don't get enough likes, they don't get sent out. It's just the way it is. So show your support, smash that like button, and if any of you guys are looking for a program to help take your results to the next level, you can check out this one right here. It's nothing special. Well, it's special to me, okay? And I don't mean that it's a crappy program. I mean, it's simple. It contains compound movements that you need to grow, period. And as long as you're increasing your weights and using progressive overload and eating enough food, you are going to see results. And that's why I made it as simple as possible. It's my Guaranteed Gains program, and you can download it for free. All you got to do is click this link. Hope you guys have a great day, and as always, more good stuff coming soon. See you guys.